welcome to this edition of Border Report Live. My name is Rudy Mireles, and I am your host here in Harlingen, Texas, in the Rio Grande Valley of deep South Texas. We've got a great program lined up for you today. Our El Paso correspondent, Julian Resendiz, is going to be leading a conversation with the mayor of Sunland Park, New Mexico, Mayor Javier Perea, in just a little bit. So looking forward to that conversation coming up shortly. But first, as always, we're going to start this afternoon by taking a look at what's trending across the border. Now, as we told you earlier this week, the next city to undergo the Trump administration's immigration crackdown is Charlotte, North Carolina. A sheriff in the state says U.S. Customs and Border Protection personnel are expected in Charlotte this weekend or early next week. It is the latest Democratic-led city in the country to face the president's immigration enforcement operations. Activists, faith leaders, and local state officials in North Carolina's largest city had already begun preparing the immigrant community, sharing information about resources and attempting to calm fears. The local police department said it has no authority to enforce federal immigration laws and that it does not participate in ICE operations, nor are they involved in the planning of those federal activities. Now, as the city braces for ICE and Border Patrol to show up, local businesses and immigrant activists are doing the same. Reporter David Schumann has the story.
For nearly 30 years, the smells of fresh bread and pastries have drifted from Manolo's Bakery in East Charlotte, an institution. But its namesake, owner and Colombian-born U.S. citizen Manolo Bettenker, says it's struggling.
No immigrants are going to come to this bakery. And if I don't have customers, I don't have a business.
Bettenker says his community has lived in fear since President Trump took office in January, not wanting to get together or even leave home. His bakery's retail sales are down 20% from last year. Now, several news outlets are reporting Border Patrol agents could be coming to the city Manolo loves.
It just made me sick, man. Sick in my stomach. As an American citizen, I had to carry my passport because the way they look, the way they talk, and because my accent.
In Chicago, protests and controversy have followed Border Patrol as it's carried out operations the administration says are meant to reduce crime and illegal immigration. Bettenker says he'll be on a call Wednesday with Charlotte nonprofit groups and churches to talk about how to respond.
I know that our directors are going to gather and see if there are any measures that we need to take internally here in our campus to ensure that not only our staff are safe, but also our community is safe as well.
Becca O'Neill is an immigration lawyer and co-director of Carolina Migrant Network.
I try to the best of my ability, make a plan for people to be there when and if they're taken into immigration custody, but all I can tell people is that, I'm sorry they're in this position. And
the Department of Homeland Security wouldn't confirm or deny plans to send agents to Charlotte, saying in a statement to Queen City News, every day DHS enforces the laws of the nation across the country. We do not discuss future or potential operations.
Latinos are hard workers. We're people of faith. We love this country. So I just want to challenge people out there that have this negative stereotype about this community that that's not true at all.
That was David Schumann reporting. Bringing it back down here to the border in the Rio Grande Valley of deep South Texas, federal agents used what appeared to be a chemical agent during a raid here in the valley this morning. The superintendent of the job site told one of our reporters that at least 5 agents were wearing identification for the U.S. Marshals Service and Homeland Security investigations were present at the site in Harlingen, Texas. 3 construction workers took refuge in a bedroom during the raid when witnesses say agents deployed a chemical agent, forcing those men out of the construction site. The superintendent of the job site says he's never seen immigration enforcement use that tactic before here in the Rio Grande Valley, adding that he's worked on several job sites that have already been raided. We have reached out to Homeland Security for comment, and we are waiting a response from them, and we will bring you that as soon as we get it from them. Time now to bring in our El Paso correspondent, Julian Resendiz, and our guest for today's program, Mayor Javier Perea of Sunland Park, New Mexico.
Rudy, good to be back. Today I have the pleasure of introducing the leader of one of the most unique communities on the U.S.-Mexico border. It is called Sunland Park, New Mexico. And what makes this city special, along with its people, is that to the side of it, we have the border wall and a big chunk of Juarez, Mexico. To the east, we have El Paso, Texas. And to the west, we have a desert which very often in the past few years has been used for various activities stemming from the South, including migrant smuggling. Today, we're going to talk to Mayor Perea about his city's experience in dealing with the migrant surge of the past few years. And then we'll move on to some of the opportunities that this growing small community in southern New Mexico has before it. I can tell you that Sunland Park right now is one of New Mexico's leading sale generators of tax revenue stemming from cannabis sales. Cannabis sales are legal in New Mexico, and the city being so close to Texas, very often is visited by people from Texas for this activity. But let's start from the beginning. Mayor Perea, thank you very much for being with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about your city's experience of the last few years amid this migrant surge? How your first responders very often were a lifeline to people lost in the desert, to people who were abandoned by smugglers, fell over the border wall, or fell over Mount Cristo Rey, which is a story of itself, what that holy mountain represents to the community. Can you talk to us about Sunland Park and its experience in the past few years with migrants?
Absolutely, Julian, and thank you again for the invitation. And when it comes to the issue of immigration, this has been an issue for many, many years. And in situations where we've had a Republican-controlled government, with both in the Congress and presidency, and then a democratically controlled government with Congress and presidency. And it has been an ongoing issue. But when we were getting the large surges of people crossing over, our police department and our fire department weren't necessarily equipped to get to the hard to reach areas. For example, Mount Cristo Rey, which is a mountain right on the border and has very, very tough terrain. Also, it's desert just west of us, so there's our fire trucks and our medical equipment couldn't get to certain areas. And when we got dispatched to certain situations for medical need, we had to be creative about getting resources out there. Since then, we've been able to secure funding and have purchased equipment that can access these difficult and hard to reach places. So that has been an expense and a burden that our community has faced, but it's based on the geography that we live in. That was one thing that we had to change in how our government provides services to the area. But beyond that, the city of Sunland Park, I do want to clarify that we don't partake in immigration enforcement. That is a federal responsibility. But when it comes to the public safety of our citizens, we continue to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of every citizen, every person that lives here within the city of Sunland Park, regardless of immigration status. And the federal government has that responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, one of the things that struck me while covering Sunland Park is how, especially the firefighters from your city, were able to respond and to get acclimated to all these situations. One time they took me on a ride, and they seemed to know exactly where most often migrants got lost in the desert. They seem to be prepared with the proper medical equipment in their vehicles to save lives, to provide what they say is cool down. In other words, a migrant has been in the desert for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. His body temperature is rising, and your firefighters seem to be equipped to handle these emergencies. Can you tell us about some of that training or experience that has developed and what they do?
Absolutely, and we're very proud of our fire department, where they've been able to, quickly adapt to these situations. We've been able to provide them with equipment, with fire trucks that can access the desert, with bigger wheels, not as heavy equipment like a pumper truck can't get through certain terrain, through ATVs for police and fire. Even the Rio Grande. I mean, we now equipped our firefighters to be able to do, to help them save people who might be drowning in the Rio Grande. And that's because we have the Rio Grande, we have the desert, we have the mountain, and we've taken every single situation that we've encountered and really worked on how do we best respond. And in the summer months, when we can have triple-digit temperatures, we've now equipped our fire trucks and equipment with ice, bags of ice, so that if we do encounter someone that's out in the desert disoriented with rising temperatures, we can help cool them off as soon as possible. So those are minor things that we've equipped our fire department to help address situations that can be a danger to life.
We're speaking with Sunland Park, New Mexico Mayor Javier Perea, and we're going to continue the conversation after a quick break, so stay with us. Border Report Live is back in 1 minute. Welcome back to this edition of Border Report Live. My name is Rudy Mideles here in Harlingen, Texas. Our El Paso correspondent Julian Resendiz joining us today, along with a very special guest for today's program, Mayor of Sunland Park, New Mexico, Mayor Javier Perea.
Major, before we move on to talk about the other things that make Sunland Park special and unique, let me just finish up with the immigration issue. I think it's great that you clarify, and I know that this is a controversial topic, that your police officers do not in any way engage in immigration enforcement, which is a debate that many communities across America are having or were having during the search. But I do got to tell you that my mom lives in Sunland Park, and like many other residents of Sunland Park, we have found ourselves in the necessity to call authorities whenever we see people running to the property, or sometimes jumping the fence and hiding. And we get it. We understand that for the most part, migrants do not represent a danger. However, there's another situation that I've been made aware of by residents, and that is that during the search, pickup trucks with people, sometimes maybe armed or not, arrive to pick up these migrants. So can you tell us a little bit about the discretion, the dealing that your police officers have with the community when it comes to not going after the migrants, but monitoring for possible criminal activity? I have reported a number of occasions in which stash houses run by smugglers, not by the people, but by smugglers, were reported in your community. So can you tell us about the law enforcement aspect of the immigration that you deal with?
Absolutely. And dealing with stash houses and that kind of situation, it's something that we do across agencies. So we do work in partnership with federal agencies when it comes to criminal activity. Like I mentioned, our priority is health, safety, and welfare of our community. And those people who are engaged in illegal activity, they should be concerned today and into the future, because we will continue to work with our federal partners each and every day to make sure that we keep crime out of the community. But seeing someone get into a vehicle is not necessarily a crime, but if that leads to further investigation with our federal partners, we're more than happy to cooperate in that regard.
And that's also one of the things that makes Sunland Park unique. Being so kind of isolated and at the same time in the middle of it, it also necessitates your officers to have some extra abilities, extra training. I know that very recently, a few days ago, all of your police force got deputized by the Doña Ana County Sheriff to deal with any number of emergencies stemming not in Sunland Park proper, but in the immediate areas. Like we mentioned, there's a desert out there, there's a border wall, there's all kinds of unincorporated communities. Can you tell us about the recent deputizing of your entire police force to enforce laws beyond the city?
Absolutely. We're very grateful to be able to announce a partnership with the Sheriff's Office to deputize cross-commission our police officers to be able to serve outside of our municipal limits. And this stemmed out of some issue and some criminal activity outside of our city limits and affecting the residents of the city of Sunland Park. And not having that authority to cross that boundary, we can do enforcement there. Because many times, the Sheriff's Office is not close to the area, and our police officers can respond a little bit faster. So being able to do that really puts us at an advantage in being able to address the safety issues affecting our community. So we're very proud to be able to work that partnership with the Sheriff's Office in Doña Ana County to address these issues immediately.
What are some of those safety issues? I know that one of the main issues that prompted the deputizing of your officers was that people from outside the community come to the desert and start target practice or shooting, but sometimes those bullets end up hitting homes.
Yeah, and that's what happened here in the scenario that led to these cross commissioning of the officers. It was vacant desert in the past, and people would go out into the desert and shoot their guns out there. But unfortunately, or well, fortunately for us as a city, we continue to expand, we continue to grow. So with the urban growth in our community, we've kind of expanded into these areas out in the desert. And these areas that were vacant in the past are no longer that, and people want to continue going to these spaces. However, that creates safety issue for the people that are now living in the area around what was used to call the wall or a makeshift shooting range out in the desert. And unfortunately, the reckless behavior of few individuals has led to some concerns about some bullets hitting some homes within the city of Solon Park. And the last thing we want is someone dying because of a stray bullet of someone out practicing or having entertaining themselves out in the desert.
Yes. Now, speaking of growth, let's talk about the very positive aspects of Sunland Park and what's coming to the city. I know that the state of New Mexico 3 years ago legalized cannabis sales. And Sunland Park is just because of its closeness to El Paso, happens to generate a lot of revenue, tax revenue from that. Can you tell us what you have been able to do with that revenue?
Absolutely. So we are generating in direct taxes to the city itself about a $1.6 million a year from cannabis sales. And this is putting us at number 2 in the state for the most part when it comes to cannabis sales. And what this has allowed us to do is, allocate funding for our police department, allocate funding for our youth. So we've engaged in a lot of activities for youth, and what we want to try and do is create an environment where kids don't have to access this type of activity, and by keeping them busy with youth sports. We have an art festival that includes lights this weekend, and we're trying to bring as many activities to our sports complex. We're developing that space so that the entire family can come and engage in a healthy way. So we are making investments in our youth. We're making investments in our public safety departments as well. So it has helped us with that regard. But I can tell you, $1.6 million is extra. We didn't count on that in the past, and that adds just a little additional opportunity that we didn't have before.
All right. And finally, I'd like to ask you about another thing that makes Sunland Park unique. We mentioned its location. You guys are 500 yards from Juarez, Mexico. One of the fastest growing parts of Juarez, Mexico is the west side, Anapra, Camino Real. Now, for several years, in fact, for a couple of generations, the people of Sunland Park have been pushing for a border crossing, an international port of entry with Mexico. Can you tell us about the status of that project? Has there been any recent progress?
Absolutely. So we submitted a presidential permit application for a new port of entry, for a non-commercial port of entry here within the city of Solon Park into Juarez, Mexico, back under the first Trump administration. Then there was a transition. The Biden administration came in, and their focus was dealing with COVID. So our application kind of stayed there. And then now there's a change in administration once again. And what we're going to try and do now is update the environmental impact studies and also take into account the fact that the Bridge of the Americas might remove commercial traffic from that port of entry and push traffic out to the east and west, affecting the Santa Teresa port of entry and the Zaragoza Isleta port of entry. That might have an impact on our non-commercial traffic numbers. So we're going to update our studies to reflect that, and then we're going to resubmit the presidential permit application to this current administration. And our hope is that we can get approval of that in the near future. And with that, work in conjunction with the state in connecting the Border Highway Connector, which is a new highway that the state is working on that will connect the Santa Teresa port of entry with Solon Park proper and create a new avenue of cross traffic between both communities. That border highway will help us alleviate or remove traffic from the main road, which is McNutt Road, the heavy traffic from there, and move it off to the side. But in all, this will help provide additional commercial opportunities for the city, and that's exactly what we're looking for new commercial opportunities to expand and grow our revenue within the city and provide additional work opportunities for our residents here today.
Yeah, speaking of the border crossing, what kind of impact would a new border crossing have, not just on your city, but on our entire region, and maybe also on the entire border at a time in which people are calling for more ports of entry, not less ports of entry?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty about our region here is that it's not just one city, it's just not one community, it's an entire region here. It's El Paso, Juarez, Las Cruces, Sunland Park. We all have to be working together. And the ports of entries in this area have to work together. They're part of an entire system. So what you do in one affects the other. And studies have revealed that an additional port of entry is needed, one in Sunland Park and another one in El Paso. So it will have an impact with the commercial expansion of the area. And as we see the continued growth in West El Paso and in Sunland Park and the Santa Teresa Industrial Complex, we're going to see the more flow of both commercial goods and people between both countries. And that's, I think, very unique and very beautiful about our region is that we have so much opportunity. And building a port of entry here within the city of Sunland Park will provide both the agility of traffic between both countries, both commercial and non-commercial, and also new commercial retail opportunities for the city of Sunland Park, which in turn provides new revenues so we can continue to improve the quality of life of the people that we serve.
And finally, Mayor, I'd like to ask you about that mountain. A lot of people call it a holy mountain. It stands 4,700 feet above sea level. You can't miss it if you ever drive to El Paso. It's got a large figure of Jesus, Christ the Redeemer. Can you tell us about the pilgrimages that take place in that mountain in your city every couple of years? How people from all over the Southwest and some from Mexico come on those pilgrimages and what they mean for your community?
Absolutely. So Mount Cristo Rey is owned by the Catholic Diocese of Las Cruces, and they have this cross at the very top, which attracts thousands of people every single year. And actually, their pilgrimage this year is, I think, in a couple of weeks. This week or in a couple of weeks. And this is the time that people use to give thanks to God and give Him honor. And that in itself is an identifying marker for the city of Sunland Park. It's almost at the point where Texas meets New Mexico and Mexico. And we're very proud to have that as part of our community. And that's a unifying factor across the entire region.
We've been speaking with Mayor Javier Perea of Sunland Park, New Mexico. An incredibly informative discussion on the city that he is leading right here on the border. It's amazing how similar all these border cities we all are to each other, but yet so different and unique in so many ways. So we appreciate you joining us today, Mayor.
No, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
All right. Well, stay with us. We got a couple more headlines to get through. Border Report Live is back in 1 minute. Welcome back to Border Report Live. We just got done speaking with Mayor Javier Perea of Sunland Park, New Mexico, a city just to the west of El Paso on the border, just like we are here, like Julian is in El Paso and like Salvador is in San Diego. But if you missed the conversation with him or the conversation we had with Kathleen Bush Joseph of the Migration Policy Institute yesterday or the day before that with Pablo Manriquez of MigrantInsider.com, well, don't forget that you can stay informed on all the stories shaping the U.S.-Mexico border on your commute home, while you're taking the dog out for a walk, or maybe you're doing some grocery shopping or getting a quick lift in at the gym, because Border Report Live brings you real-time updates, expert insights, and voices from both sides of the border in podcast form. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, the Spotify app, the iHeartRadio app, and the YouTube app, as you can see on the bottom of your screen there. Really quick, did have one headline that we wanted to share with you before we leave you for today. California state officials say they plan to revoke 17,000 commercial driver's licenses given to migrants. This comes after they discovered the expiration dates went past when the drivers were legally allowed to be in the United States. The announcement follows harsh criticism from the Trump administration about California and other states granting licenses to people in the country illegally. This issue became a big problem when a tractor-trailer driver not authorized to be in the country made an illegal U-turn and caused a crash in Florida that killed 3 free people. Attorney General Pam Bondi said, quote, California's redistricting scheme is a brazen power play. Newsom said these losers lost at the ballot box, and soon they will also lose in court. And really quick, wanted to remind you to check out our partners at Political Power Ranker. It is a show weekly that tracks the movers, shakers, and rule makers in American politics. This week's episode is all about the Arizona governor's race, so you're not going to want to miss that. That's going to do it for us today. For Julian in El Paso, my name's Rudy Mireles here in Harlingen, Texas. We'll see y'all next time.